In this update, we've got a series of cold fronts that's going to spark some severe storms. Then we have a complete weather flip coming in the extended range. Let's talk about the details going forward. And you can see up here in the Pacific Northwest, we've got a dominating ridge of high pressure. That's a lot of sinking air, and a lot of heat continues to build up in that region. But we have series of cold fronts that's draped across the middle of the country. We've got some unsettled conditions in parts of central Texas, but we have another boundary that's setting up in portions of southern Illinois, Indiana, parts of Kentucky, and portions of Tennessee. That's going to be the focal point for some severe storms later on this afternoon. So let's talk about the setup going forward. You can see the first initial cold front came through Texas. Now that's draped across portions of central and southern Texas. That's adding some isolated shower activity. But here's the main concern of this low pressure later on this afternoon, setting up some heavier rain showers into portions of Illinois, Indiana, as well as into Kentucky. Then we have some severe storms to talk about, with all three modes of severe storms draped across this warm front in a good part of Kentucky as well as into Tennessee later on this afternoon. You can see where that warm air is, with that warm front lifting up from the southeast and really extending into southern portions of Kentucky as well as into Tennessee. That is going to be the area the atmosphere is going to be turning over this afternoon, and we have to be concerned about all three modes of severe storms. But you can see for the rest of the country, those 70s and 80s will be feeling really nice. In fact, you still get a little bit of a reprieve up there into the Pacific Northwest. You're definitely not as hot as you have been. But here's the setup for today. We do have an enhanced risk for severe storms draped across portions of the Nashville area, the Jackson area, back into Knoxville, into Greensboro, all the way into Roanoke. These whole areas are kind of under the gun for all three modes of severe storms, and that some tornadic activity as well. The atmosphere will be rotating. I think things get going during peak heat into the afternoon, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The atmosphere should start to turn over. In fact, let's talk about what the radar could actually look like going into about 4 o'clock this afternoon. We've got pop-up renegade supercells breaking out into portions of Nashville, into portions of southern portions of Lexington, back into Pikeville. These areas are going to be inundated with those strong severe storms. Some of these are going to be packing some damaging winds up to 65 miles an hour. And this area will be rotating because these are these isolated nature. And so we definitely have to be on high alert for between 4 o'clock and I would think about 10 o'clock this evening for some tornadic spin up tornadoes and definitely some higher wind gusts in that region. And some of those could experience some larger hail associated with them as well. So this channel did actually reach 175,000 followers. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in to my daily coverage on this channel. I would love to reach 200,000 by August 1st. So if you hadn't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel. And let's talk about the setup going into tomorrow. So I think tomorrow things really start to wind down because we've got a series of cold fronts. That first one that's now going to be, reaching all the way down into portions of the deep south. That's kind of rare to even talk about several cold fronts for the middle of May. Here's a stronger push of colder air that's going to be entering good part of the Northeast. Back behind that front, they're going to be experiencing some much colder conditions. And then we have another push that's coming into Montana. That's going to be dropping southbound. That'll be setting up some more severe storms across portions of West Texas and Oklahoma, then eventually back into portions of Dallas, getting into the day on Friday. But let's talk about that first initial cold front for your Wednesday morning up here in the Northeast. These are actually low temperatures, folks, and you're going to feel this cold front in a big way. It's going to feel really nice. Those are widespread 40s across a good part of New York, heading up into Vermont and New Hampshire, even some 30s up there into Maine. look at in southern portions of Canada, they won't even actually get above freezing. So this is a good shot of definitely some colder air that will continue to move southbound. So during the daytime hours, those temperatures won't even actually get out of the 50s and 60s up here for a good part of New England and the Northeast. You're going to feel it in a big way. So here's the setup by Thursday. So the breakdown for Thursday, we have another area of low pressure that's going to be entering portions of Minnesota back into Wisconsin. Then we have another secondary piece of a kind of a short wave that's going to be setting up across portions back into the Baja. That's going to be providing the lift mechanism as that other cold front that's going to be dropping southbound. So we should start to see more storms start to break out into the Texas Panhandle, portions of western Oklahoma. And so there's the overall setup as we get into your Thursday time frame, with that another area of low pressure setting up some heavier rain across portions of Colorado. That extends into the Texas Panhandle, Kansas, and western Oklahoma. Notice the area here. This is an area that's in bone dry conditions. So this is definitely some welcome rain up here, and they're going to get it in a big way. So here's the setup on the surface map. You can actually see the cold front outlined with those showers and thunderstorms out ahead of it. And there's the low pressure center locked over portions of Minnesota. To the south of there's the instability across a good part of Wisconsin, back into Iowa. That fishtails into portions of western Kansas, western Oklahoma, into the Texas Panhandle. Then we'll start to see the dry line start to get active again in West Texas. But notice all the rain creeping into the Four Corners region. These are areas that, again, are in bone dry condition, really setting up our kind of a complete weather flip. These are areas that have missed out on a lot of the rain opportunities in the last couple of months. So they're going to be in the favorite area going forward, I think, really over the next 2 weeks. So this is definitely a complete weather flip that's actually coming. So here's the overall severe storms that are going to be setting up for Thursday. So we have an active dry line, again, setting up across a good part of West Texas, especially back into Midland, back into the Lubbock region. I do feel this is going to be upgraded to a slight risk for severe storms as we get closer to the Thursday timeframe. But if you live in the Oklahoma City, western portions of Oklahoma, you definitely have to be in high alert as severe storms get bubbling up in the heat of the afternoon into the early evening timeframe. But then as we go into Friday, here's some of the dew points. So this is the moisture, the available, moisture content to tap into with that lift mechanism that's draped across the Baja, and the cold front is going to be dropping southbound. So yeah, plenty of moisture in the atmosphere when you're talking dew points well into the upper 70s, if not low 70s, across a good part of Texas here. That pushes into portions of Oklahoma. So I do feel we're going to have a setup for more severe storms as we get into the afternoon time frame. So here's the lightning display, what it could possibly look like as we get into, say, the 4 or 5 o'clock time frame in Friday afternoon, draped across a good part of the Oklahoma City southbound. That goes into portions of North Texas. The dry line gets active, but the dry line pushes further into central Texas by then, I think. So the setup will be draped across portions of central and North Texas, and that will extend into portions of the Little Rock area. And that's exactly what we have from the Storm Prediction Center on a day 4 risk, with a slight risk for severe storms along and ahead of that cold front back into San Antonio, the San Angelo area. It does include all of North Texas, back into Little Rock, and just maybe south of the Oklahoma City area. This is the favorite area we have to be concerned about for severe storms. I think this is a peak heating event. So again, this looks to be more like a 4 to say 10 o'clock time frame type of setup, where they have the highest instability. So we definitely have to be concerned about for severe storms during that favored time frame. Here's the satellite picture showing those cells really start to blow up in the heat of the afternoon in a good part of North Texas, southern portions of Oklahoma. That goes into portions of Arkansas here. So this is the favorite area that we have to be on high alert during that 10 o'clock time frame on your Friday afternoon, early evening time frame. But then back behind that, we've got a bona fide push of colder air that's going to be dropping southbound. So these are low temperatures, folks. Anytime you get 50s for lows, for into Oklahoma this time of year is definitely a welcome sight. So it's going to feel really nice. And it actually drier air. So it kind of alleviates the humidity. It lowers the dew point. So a little bit drier air than what you've been accustomed to back behind that cold front. So here's the surface map as we get deeper into the Saturday afternoon time frame. So usually back behind a cold front, it's pretty much high and dry. So it's really nice weather conditions. Once you have those severe storms on Friday, it's going to be really nice on Saturday. Then the instability will be draped across a good part of deep South Texas. That will be in portions of the Southeast, and the light to moderate rain showers across portions of West Virginia, back into the Pennsylvania region, getting into New York. So you're dry pretty much all week long. You don't really get any rainy conditions for the Northeast until we get into your Saturday and Sunday time frame. But here's the setup going forward on Saturday. So we have that pocket of instability that's going to be dropping southeast. That adds the instability that's going to be bringing the rain showers for the Northeast. But then we have a secondary short wave that's going to be entering portions of the Baja as that El Nino starts to become a lot more active, right? It's still going to be on full force. So we're going to be seeing these more active subtropical jet stream. And so we're going to be seeing these series of short waves coming across, adding to more instability for the deep south. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing as we go into your Saturday time frame, going forward for the weekend. So by the time we get into Sunday, look where the rain really sets up, right? It sets up into far west Texas, El Paso region, the Midland region, the Lubbock region, the Amarillo region, western Oklahoma, back into New Mexico, back into the Four Corners regions. I mean, these are areas that definitely desperately need the rain. So this is all a good sign. Even Florida is definitely dry. They're actually starting their rainy season, basically started yesterday. So yes, I feel like going forward, we're going to be seeing more opportunities for Florida that will be slowly starting to eat away the drought. But notice the areas of higher instability across portions of South Carolina and to portions of North Carolina. I think this is the beginning stages of more unsettled conditions as we have that cold front drops into out in the open waters. And then we're going to have this ridge start to move across from west to east. So that doesn't happen till early next week, because back behind going in Sunday morning, you're still going to have another morning for really nice conditions with widespread 50s across a good part of the central U.S. And some of those 50s actually even drop into portions of Mississippi and Alabama, even northern portions of Georgia. So it's definitely going to be feeling really nice back behind that cold front. And then if we kind of extend the view going into, say, the earlier parts of next week, we still see those below average temperature anomalies really draped across a good part of the south, and where those cold fronts will be dropping southbound. But notice the ridge of high pressure that will finally start to lose its grip across a good part of the Pacific Northwest, and that will be slowly on the move and shifting into our northern central U.S. And then that'll eventually start to move across a good part of the Northeast into the extended range. So yes, again, by the time we get into that 23rd time frame, as that cold front continues to move and will be out into the open waters, and as that ridge continues to shift, we do see lowering of pressures off the Carolina coast. So this whole area has well above average precipitation anomalies. So we always have to be concerned about maybe some tropical type mischief trying to form in that region the longer that area sits. But look where the above average rains really line up, right? West Texas, New Mexico, western Oklahoma, back into southern. These are areas that are, again, just been missing out on so many systems. Now you're actually in the favored zone of getting the most above average rain. So this is definitely a different setup than what we've seen for a long time. And again, on the extended range, we're watching that ridge, right? That continues to push towards the end of the month. And by then, that will be draped across a good part of the northern states and then eventually headed into the northeast, replacing that cooler air with above average temperature anomalies to head towards the end of the month. While again, we have the southern flank where we have just increased moisture opportunities, increased rain, and those cooler conditions with the more cloudier conditions and the more opportunities for afternoon rain showers to kind of hold those temperatures at bay. But you can see where the drought is, right? This drought is really shaped across the central US. So you got Florida getting some above average rains where they desperately need it. You've got West Texas, you got Western Oklahoma, you got Western Kansas, you got Nebraska. These whole areas that are in the driest areas are in the most favored areas to get the most above average rains of what they typically see. So those are all good signs to slowly start eating away that drought that's been locked in that region for an extended period of time now. And even the longer range, the broader view over the next 2 weeks, that basically puts the above average rains right in that bullseye, right? It puts it right into that bullseye. Then again, we'll have to watch this area of instability off the southeast coast. If there's anything that might be coming out of this with tropical type orientation that might try to move inland and dump some heavier rains as an early season hurricane, tropical type setup, because hurricane season starts June 1st for the Atlantic, and this is going to be a favorite area that you might get an early season storm to start off the year. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I update on those daily, and catch me next update while I protect you before and after the storm.